Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And if you guys are enjoying the daily crypto videos, don't forget to support the channel by pressing the like button and subscribing. And now the question of today is, are you guys holding XRP? Yes or no? And have you thought about selling it? Put it in the comment section down below. Now the first tweet of the day comes from Mr. G XRP007 over on Twitter. And he said, "The truth is out there. XRP is the most important and greatest technology of our lifetime. No weak hands." With a picture attached that states, "Bitcoin runs on Ripple." And funny enough, I think a lot of people don't know. I think the majority of the people that watch these videos don't know that you could actually theoretically send Bitcoin over XRPL as well. So this whole Bitcoin runs on Ripple, which of course is a joke because, running on Ripple would be a little bit crazy, is actually not as far-fetched as it may look. And if you guys have checked it out already or not, doesn't really matter. Let's quickly go over it from the official xrpl.org issued currencies overview. All currencies other than XRP can be represented in the XRP ledger as issued currencies, also known as IOUs. So these digital assets, sometimes called issuances or IOUs, are tracked in accounting relationships called trust lines between addresses. Issued currencies are typically considered as liabilities from one perspective, an asset from the other. So the balance of a trust list is negative or positive depending on which side you view it from. Any address may freely issue non-XRP currencies, limited only by how much other addresses are willing to hold. Issued currencies can ripple through multiple issuers and holders if they use the same currency code. This is useful in some cases, but can cause unexpected and undesirable behavior in others. You can use the no ripple flag on trust lines to prevent those trust lines from rippling. And to conclude, issued currencies can be traded with XRP or each other asset in the XRP ledger's decentralized exchange, which again is something that's really cool to think about, at least in my personal opinion to it all, because that shows that it's not really limited to just one thing. There's actually quite a lot more to the ledger than might meet the eye. And really, if you spend a couple hours here on this website, you notice so many things that you might have never thought about before. Just check through all these things on the left here: introduction, payment system basics, payment types, issued currencies, decentralized exchange, consensus network, and the rippled server. Just check through everything as much as you can, and trust me, you'll feel enlightened. And if you don't want to, we'll get to it piece by piece over here on the channel. Then to kind of, coincide with that all, or, to be in the same type of spectrum, James Rule XRP just posted on Twitter, "How many of you were around in the 1990s for the World Wide Web to start up? If you own any cryptocurrency right now, you are a founding member of what is going to be a historical event, so go ahead and think about that for a couple of minutes." And yeah, in my opinion, they have a very solid point. However, I would say that right now we are in actually maybe a little bit post 2000. So as you can see here, this is how the timeline for the internet has kind of looked over the longer while. And one of the cool parts about it is, well, we can kind of state as if 1990 were to also be the inception of Bitcoin, and then all these things coming on along the road with 2000, of course, being a very popular time, being the Bitcoin rush. Possibly, I don't know exactly what date the big increases in prices were for .com and all the other ones, but you can just see that possibly as the Bitcoin big rush and all the other coins in 2017. And maybe right now we've strayed a little bit further from that. Tells us two things. First of all is that a lot of really crazy things are still going to be coming up that we're just waiting for. A lot of cool projects, a lot of cool partnerships and mergers and acquisitions. And also that again, a lot will be bettered, or how would you say it? A lot will be really improved on from this point. So for example, Google, Mozilla, Facebook, Google Chrome, iTunes, even AOL, eBay, all these things are nothing at that point in comparison to what they are now, except for maybe MySpace or Tumblr. Nobody uses that anymore, I believe. But the rest, yeah, they've gone and grown to behemoths over the years. And the fun fact is that they're also trying to, kind of connect it all to the whole crypto space. As you can see, the march of financial services firms into Bitcoin and blockchain startups. Here, the very, very big start. You could also see, again, this as, for example, the beginning here, and this bigger area being like the 1990s then. It just depends on how you want to view it. But in my opinion, we're just really, really early to all this crypto type of stuff. And there's a lot to come. And a fun thing you could also do is make a infographic like this with Ripple's partnerships and what type of really big deals they got going on. And the same thing I could say about VeChain, because I would also think that that would be a very interesting chart to take a look at, or infograph. XRP Supreme, the icon, says on Twitter, "I'm done investing. I got all the crypto I need. I'm about to put my money in eradicating debt. Cash flow once that debt is paid, and put it right back into my investments. Hashtag no debt lifestyle." And I just want to give y'all, literally everybody watching these videos, a little bit of advice. And this is some personal advice, as this is not, I mean, it's actually kind of financial advice, but it's officially not, so don't take it that way. Is to pay off your debt first. I think any financial advisor will tell you that, exactly the same thing, because, well, it's the smartest move. However, the reason it's not always true is because, well, if your debt is, for example, 4% interest, and you're able to get yourself a 14% return somewhere else, for example, or even anything above the debt, it might not be worth it to pay off the debt. It just depends a little bit on the situation, what type of debt it is, what type of consequences it has if you don't pay it off. But in general, it is almost always worth it to pay off debt first to make sure you don't get in a worse position than you are at right now. And again, kind of summarize that is, you right now are at a level, right? And if that level has some debt in it, or even doesn't have debt in it yet, and you want to create some, or you're going to create some, what happens is, if you don't pay it off, you're periodically gonna get little steps lower. Even though you might invest all 100% of your money into very good investments, very crazy things, piece by piece, that debt is taking you down. Again, it also depends on how much we're talking about. If we're talking about $40 in debt, I don't really consider that debt. But more so talking about maybe a mortgage or maybe some credit card debt that you still haven't paid off. It's really the ones that, maybe not even mortgage, maybe just the credit card ones and things akin to that, which really, really tick on and really, really hurt. Maybe the college ones as well, which sometimes is $100,000 or more dollars as well. Those ones, yeah, pay them off ASAP, because they will crack into your newer money that's being generated. It might even pull you down at one point completely by possibly making you illiquid at one point, where they're like, well, you got to pay off some now, so you're going to have to pay off a huge amount of money because you waited too long. There's tons of consequences from it not paying out debt. Might even be that your investments go wrong, and you were thinking, you know what, I'm going to go, go into this 10% profit or 10% investment or return on investment, because, well, the debt is only 7%, so I'm going to invest in this project, which gives me 10%, and I'll net 3% all the time, which is going to be amazing because I'm making profit, yada. But then, boom, all of a sudden, you keep reinvesting, and your investment tree falls down. You got yourself 0% now, and that debt has just kept raking up. And now you're at a very, very bad spot. Hopefully you guys get it. I think you will. First mover. XRP just isn't exciting crypto traders this year. Now, I would say that that's a very, very good thing. Why? Because that would mean, I guess, the speculators are a little bit done with just pressing and trying to test, trying to poke it with a stick, seeing how it's going to react and move. People are right now eagerly waiting for exactly what Ripple is going to be bringing. Because my personal opinion, as I've told you guys tons of times before, is that, well, we got to wait off with how Ripple is going to be arranging things. And as I said earlier today in my video, I believe that even if Ripple gets a killer partnership today, it might take another 6 months for that big partnership to really materialize or to be announced. And when I'm saying 6 months, that's actually a short estimate. it could literally be another 5 years before they, for example, could allow a Federal Reserve partnership or integration to go public. And all the reasons I explained in yesterday's video, there's just at least 50 reasons you could think of why it is better to wait with big announcements like that. On the same note though, I also think that because of all the waiting, all the bureaucracy, all the regulatory frameworks they're trying to shift, bend, and get through, it's really a longer term crypto. And really, if it were to do so crazy in the short term, I would personally say that move is not, because of what we've built on Ripple / XRP Ledger. It's more so just a quick buck. It's just speculators trying to go for something. Maybe it's just a couple billionaire traders or investment managers investing heavily into it, making it pump. But that's not going to be sustained. As we saw right now, the $4 move that we saw in 2018, January 4th, that move was not sustained. Why? Because, the price went down afterwards. And how come it wasn't sustained? Because really there was nothing backing it to get to that point. With stocks of companies, a little bit of the difference is you can really kind of show for the price by what they have or possibly what cash flows or what earnings. And since XRP is more like a currency than a company, because it works really quite differently, it's really hard to see if they've deteriorated over the year and if the price should be going down and exactly what you're betting on. And I would say one of the best things to bet on is their partnerships, integrations, use cases, and just general team that they got. If XRP were to not be backed by Ripple's team, I don't think I would invest in it. If XRP were not really helped out with Ripple's use cases, probably none of us will be holding it, and so forth and so forth and so on. A lot of it is determined by everything that's surrounding it that maybe does not even have to do with the coin itself. We're not really talking about XRP's speed. We're not talking about XRP's decentralization itself. We're not talking about the coin. Really the internals too much, maybe the voting systems and all that, because a lot of us really, it's important, but it's not, to some extent, it's not that important for most investors. What's more important is what can that coin do? What will it allow me to get or to achieve, or how can this help people? How can this help the world? Those are the real important questions, because that's what's going to rake you in a lot of money. Jon Snow, Lord Snow XRP, says on Twitter, many people think that XRP going to 10K is impossible. Well, just to put things into perspective, 50K XRP is 500 million, 500K XRP is 5 billion, and 1 million XRP is $10 billion. Bezos' net worth is $163 billion. Less than 0.01% of the people own 1% XRP, and Bitcoin climbed to $20,000. It's very possible. So I would like to say that this is a very cool tweet. However, it's a pretty dumb one, because, we're talking here about one, even though, wait, let me go back a little point. Is XRP to 10K possible? I would say yes, it is possible. It is definitely not impossible, and I don't think many people in this world will tell you it is impossible. However, it is very improbable. The likelihood of this occurring is very small, which is why, since it's almost neglectable, we say it might be impossible. That's at least what a lot of people will tell you. But yes, there is always a possibility, especially when we're valuing things. There's always a possibility of it being higher. There's even, I would state, a possibility of it ever reaching $100,000 per coin. Why? Because, there's no real stop to it, really. Those values, they're all decided by whole systems, and it's not even so to say that global wealth has to be less than what it can be worth. Because trust me, guys, if you want to get really deep into it, all those statistics, or at least all the numbers you got there, they're not going to matter in the end, because all of them are decided by what you value things, because all those things will go up. And it's also a difference of, is there already a specified quantity that takes the price on, and will there be more, and will scarcity take in, and all that? It will all add to the way we value things, and especially value them over a longer period of time. But just to keep that short, those prices are possible, yet very improbable. And now to get into his statements a little bit, I don't really know what this what's the difference between pro and perspective, by the way? Because whenever I see these signs, people say to put it into perspective, and then you give some examples. Let me know in the comment section. I'm interested by all you English teachers because, again, English is not my first language. And by the way, if you are enjoying this video, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. He says 50 G XRP is 500 million, as if it's not a huge amount of money that's going into right there. 1 million is 10 billion. All right. Bezos is worth $163 billion. That would mean he has to have 16 million XRP to get Jeff Bezos' worth. Now, to put it into perspective once more, Jeb McCaleb, let's say, for example, he has 4 billion. So, yeah, you do the math. He has 4 billion, 4,000 times $10 billion. You do that math. It's really an interesting number. It gets really, really pretty damn high. And if you also go to calculate and look for yourself how many people own, quite a chunk of XRP, yeah, it really starts to get a little bit interesting. So I put up here a little bit of the XRP rich list, or whatever it's called again. I can just open it myself, but I saw the tweet about it, so I thought, let me open this one up. And as you can see here, 0.01% owns more than 23 million. And if we go back to the tweet just now, let's see here, 1 million is 10 billion. And let's also see here, yeah, about 0.1% of the accounts has, let's say this is roughly a million, so roughly a little bit less. But let's say that would then be worth $7 billion instead of 10 billion, whatever. That would mean 0.1% of the holders right now will have $7 billion, and 0.01% of the holders at any point, theoretically, will have 23 million. Let's see how much that was. 1 million was 10 billion. So yeah, that's just, to me, really, really crazy to think about, because that's just a ton of money. And I don't know if those percentages are just too much, because that would make many people so freaking rich. And I would think that this is the same as the Fed printing a ton of money. It's a little bit of the same situation. It's not completely the same, but it's a little bit of the same thing, where so much money is being generated into this world. So the way we value things might become so different that this valuation of hundreds of billions of dollars might be worth tens of millions of dollars in, let's say, for example, 150 years or so. Like you can see with, a lot of these guys that were rich, maybe let's say, for example, 150 years ago, their wealth, it might be considerably more, worth more at this point, even though nominally they might have had way, way, way less. And that's what I'm trying to point at with my whole story here. These numbers right now, if you were to put it into perspective, it's actually really pretty dumb, because that would make too many people too much money, which really wouldn't be the case. However, if we're talking about a longer term, and I'm really talking about a long term, it could be that, because of the Fed printing, maybe inflation goes to such levels, the dollar falls, everything becomes kind of berserk and goes crazy, where, a dollar would be worth, or no, let's say, for example, €1 would be worth $50. And scenarios like that, yeah, you might be seeing where all these numbers start to make a little bit more sense. But for right now, it's pretty damn far away. I didn't do the math, by the way, on any of this. I'm just looking at it and just thinking about it. Whenever you're recording, by the way, and doing math, even though I can almost bet you that out of all the people I know, I'll be most likely the best one, except for professors, of course. Yeah, recording and doing math is almost the most frustrating and impossible thing ever. But to conclude again, it's unlikely. Less than 0.1% of the people own 1 million XRP, which is, again, kind of not true, but I get it. And Bitcoin climbed to $20,000, which is just completely irrelevant to the situation, has nothing to do with XRP, doesn't decide anything at all. So I really don't know why he would add that, which is also why I dismissed the tweet, why I would say skip it and flag it almost, because this part just ruined it all for me. The beginning part, all of this I could have accepted, but this, and Bitcoin climbed to $20,000, that's just stupid. I can almost bounce my head against the wall. That's just annoying. But right, Darren XRP Honcho over on Twitter says, remember, once you become wealthy from XRP or cryptocurrency, do your best to not be like the current 1%. All right, so my 2 cents on all of that is, it's almost impossible to really do that, because I believe many people who did not grow up rich but became rich, self-made, had the same idea of, I'm not going to be like those guys, or I'm going to be different. but you end up not being that different. I mean, there's these ones here and there, but most of them, because your life changes so ridiculously much, it's really hard to, not go for the more expensive lunches, not go for the more expensive this, that, because you really will feel no difference. And thus, it's also where you're going to draw the line. What does a one percenter do that you don't? Where's the differences? You are a one percenter, so it's not that crazy to also act like a one percenter because, well, most likely you just have different tools and facilities available, and thus you'll most likely utilize them well as well to maybe just get the most benefits out of your life, and maybe you just things might change. It also depends on if you become popular or not. For example, there's a completely different scenario in when you are a one percenter and famous to when you're a one percenter and nobody knows you. Completely different story, completely different strategies apply as well. And, a couple of things to say on that. But guys, I want to leave it there for today. I think that was actually a pretty good episode. Just to quickly show again, I really laugh at this type of stuff by XP, the stand-up production. This type of stupid ass tweets and articles. And by the way, I'm wondering, I think these earn quite a bit, quite a good chunk, because they're all built on Coil. And so I recommend you guys to also, again, if you really want to go and become a writer, either wait for my own news website to go live in maybe like a month or so, maybe even less. I'm working on it hard, but I'm figuring out so many things, and I've never built websites in this sense, which is making it very difficult for me. And also, of course, there's other things to do in life. But then if you don't want to do that, go right on Coil and try to plug yourself up. It might really be worth it. It might earn yourself a good income, depending. By the way, a lot of people ask me, why do you make YouTube videos? 99.9% I would say is because, well, I got into crypto at one point, and the one thing that was missing was all the information I wanted. All the cool crypto news biddies and whatnot. It was not really there like it is today, and I started YouTube for crypto 3 years ago. So you can really already think about how much the space has changed in that time, because really there was not enough altcoin content to just provide videos like this every single day. But also a second part of that is I didn't know how to analyze a lot of these crypto types of things. I didn't know what to think or what to expect from cryptocurrencies when I invested in them. And since I've been in crypto now for many years, and I've also been an investor for many more years, I was like, maybe if I can share any of my knowledge and help people out, I'm gonna do that. And just a side note to it all, if you think this can be a full-time job, if you think this earns well, trust me guys, it is not at all worth the time. Not at all worth the time. Does not earn a normal income. Does not even earn a side. It's not good. All right, let me tell you just right then and there. However, maybe if you get 20,000 views on a video, it might be worth it. But with the 3,000 I get on a video, it's not going to be worth it. Not worth your time at all. Just saying that because a lot of people trigger me sometimes in the comment section, saying that it's it's just easy to make YouTube videos just like that. It's all just because of some bigger reasons there. No, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of reading, and it takes a lot of persistence to keep doing this every single day. But luckily, I love talking about crypto. I love investing in these coins. I love talking to you guys about it. And what I love the most is the possibility of you guys to talk back, especially on Twitter when I see some discussions going, and sometimes in the comment section when somebody just hates on something I said, which I think is completely, agreeable or reasonable. And you guys go and defend me or help me out at least by saying, yo, you don't have to watch the video, or maybe he didn't mean it like that. Well, that's just, that makes my day. Sometimes it can keep me going for another, maybe week or so, just out of, it's really crazy, that feeling. But that's just some personal talks on all of that. That was it for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. And I think some more videos are going to be coming up later today because I got some crazy stuff planned. And thus, make sure you subscribe and like, and take care.